Situations and conversations with Renee. Real situations, real conversations. Empowering the community leads to elevation. Entertainment and education, no better time than now. Pure enlightenment for the crowd. This is Situations and Conversations with Renee.
Today on Situations and Conversations, it's all about step parenting and blended families. What types of challenges can come up after a divorce or when trying to blend families? Bringing in a new partner into your life with children is a whole situation. And my girl Heidi B is back to share her experiences as a step parent. Buckle up, buttercups. This is a good one. The conversation starts now. Heidi B back again, and this time we are talking about step parenting and blended families.
Well, thank you so much for having me back. I'm so excited to be here. I love chatting with you about everything all the time, situations, conversations, all of it.
All of it.
And blended families and step parenting is such an important and relevant topic because when you are going through the experience of blending a family or becoming a step parent, or on the other side, you're going through the experience of getting a divorce or splitting up a family, you think that you're the only people in the world that it's happening to.
It feels so isolating.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the truth is, there are so many blended families in the world. You're not alone. And I'm your girl, Heidi B. I got plenty of tips for you to navigate the process.
I may be showing my age, but they did show it way back in the day. Look at the Brady Bunch. That was one of the most famous blended families of all time.
100%.
But it's not necessarily like it is on TV, is it?
The Brady Bunch is a scripted TV show. What do they call that these days?
That's right. That's exactly right. It's scripted and not real.
And not real.
Yeah.
So it's okay if your blended family doesn't feel like the Brady Bunch, because I have some tips for you in terms of navigating what it's like to step parent and how you can kind of come into your own as a step parent instead of trying to muscle it together.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's start with the fact that you are a fantastic step parent.
This is my primary qualification.
That's right? This is your life. And so how did you feel when you fell in love with this person who has a child?
Yeah. One thing I will say, I've been step parenting for 10 years. So I feel really lucky to have had the opportunity to my partner had a kid. At the time, I was not really sure how I felt about parenting myself, but I loved him and I loved her and I could see a life for us together. Okay. So, I really had to, and in the early days, we were talking about this kind of before we popped on here, but I really had to do a little bit of internal reconciling with this idea because of evil stepmom.
It's so true, because the images that we grew up with, even as far as what you would call the innocent Disney characters, right? Always seem to have some sort of evil stepmom, wicked stepmother in the mix.
There's a lot of evil stepmom lore out there, as the kids they're calling it lore these days, and that's what there is. So I really had to come to terms with a little bit of my own stuff about evil stepmoms and how was I going to be an evil stepmom just because I was a stepmom, and how hard did I have to work to not be an evil stepmom? But really the point is I came to a place where I realized my only job for this little kid and our family was to create a stable, safe, loving environment. That's it. That's the basics.
That sounds really okay, rainbows and butterflies. Yeah, but how do you do that when you're mixing personalities and this kid has parents?
Yes.
And you're not a biological parent.
Yes.
So let's talk about the mind shift and everything that has to happen when you realize okay, I'm a kind of parent.
Yeah. I think that is something that's really important to acknowledge because especially with so many blended families across the globe, right? Mm-hmm. There are a lot of blended families where mom's in the picture and mom's in the picture, or mom and dad or the divorced parents are still in the picture. Right. And that means that you have to carve out you're not I really had to come to terms with I am not this kid's biological parent. I'm a step parent, which is more than a babysitter, but different than a parent.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So one of the first things, actually, before I even really get into all of this, I want to just give a plug for giving everyone involved in your blended family the mental health support that they might need. Because one of the things that's really important to remember is that you and this kid's parent chose each other, but your kid didn't choose you.
That part. Thank you.
This kid didn't choose you.
Right.
They came along for the ride.
Right. They have no choice at this point, really.
Yeah. So even if the transition that they came from, even if the divorce of their parents or the separation of their parents wasn't particularly traumatic, right? Like maybe it didn't involve any kind of like nasty stuff. They just split up. There is something there to like, now they're in a new household with another like parent figure who they didn't choose, trying to like be involved in their life. It's like your kid might need a therapist.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's okay.
Totally.
And not just the kid. We all might need to be in therapy.
Yes.
Because depending on how you as the new step parent enters the scene with the parent.
Yes.
The other parent, right? Like everybody's in this mix and trying to do this new dance and make it look pretty.
Yeah.
But it gets messy sometimes.
So make sure everybody's got the support that they need. Because one thing is your kid's going to be your stepkid, your kid. Sometimes I just call my kid because it's shorter than stepkid. But she knows that I'm not under the illusion that like she's my kid. You know, we had a real frank conversation about that actually. Where I was like, you know, sometimes I just call you my kid because it's easier. But I know that like I'm not your mom.
And what's the response?
Yeah, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I know that."
Okay.
And I actually have found that over the years, the easier, the more honest and clean I am with her about something. Hey, this is weird. I told you not to do that, and I got mad about it. And actually, normally I leave the disciplining to your dad, but like, you know, this didn't sit right with me or whatever, you know. And that like being able to be honest with her at various levels of age appropriateness. That's actually one of the reasons I've loved the teenage years, because I feel like I can be even more myself and more honest with her as she's becoming a teenager.
Hold on.
But
Did you actually just say you love the teenage years?
I do.
Is that because you're a step parent? Because as the biological parent over here, sometimes those teenage years, baby, take you through it. It's like, hold on. But okay, I wonder if that is different. But that's a good like area to jump into. I wonder if it's better to be the step parent during those challenging teenage years as opposed to the bio.
I think there is something about being a step parent that lets us, my experience has been that it was easier for me to kind of loosen the grip on some of that stuff because she was not of like my blood and DNA.
Right.
Right. I was able to go, okay, like she's having like a teenage season where I'm only getting one word out of her. You know, and I'm just like, okay, it's okay. This is what it is. That's actually pretty normal. And one thing I had a therapist once tell me was like, you know, if your kids or your stepkids are acting out, you know, as teenagers, yeah, there might be something else going on, but it also might just be that like they feel safe and comfortable with you. They're not afraid that you're going to leave them. They're not afraid that you're going to abandon them. So they don't mind giving you one-word answers, you know? And so at one stage along the journey, I decided for myself, like this kid cannot hurt my feelings.
How? Okay, all right. That's a hell of a statement.
Yeah.
Okay, because at least somebody like me, I am super sensitive.
Yeah.
And my therapist tells me, stop taking things personally. Everything is not a personal attack on you. But in particular, in this instance, when it comes to parenting, and I definitely take it personal. Like if I'm asking you and I'm coming in like, hey, how's your day? And you're giving me the, fine.
I know.
It's good. With the face and the tone where you can barely hear, you know, and I'm like, I'm sorry, did you say something? You know, and then they're like, yeah. With the on the end, right? It's like, yeah, Noah. And one time I was like, who is Noah? Because I don't know Noah. And then, of course, that doesn't help. But anyway, that's me and my sassiness. But I do take it personally. Yeah. And my feelings do get hurt. And I say to my kids sometimes, like, you know, you're not the only one with feelings here. Yeah. That hurts my feelings. Yeah. But you're saying, as a step parent, you know, which is your experience, that you set out that this child is not going to be able to hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
How?
I mean, well, part of it is like, okay, I think there is an importance to the conversation that we have as families of like, words have consequences. People, like, you can say something that can hurt our feelings or whatever. Sure. But I think for me, one thing that happens when my feelings get hurt is that like, I kind of go into this place that's, I think the next place you're talking about, which is like, if my stepkids give me one word answers, in my mind, I'm like, don't you know what I'm doing for you? Don't, you know, right? Like this kind of this self-righteousness, I think, is what kind of comes over me. Okay. And in terms of like, I get to that self-righteousness really quickly when my feelings are hurt. So sometimes I just have to go, oh, all right, one word answers it is. Whatever. whatever. I'm going to go off and I'm going to do my day, right? I'm not going to sit here and try to pry a sentence out of you. If you just want to give me one word, one of my favorite things to say to my stepdaughter is, cool, well, if you need anything, you know where to find me. Right? Because I'm just like...
That is beautiful. I mean, as I'm sitting here looking at you, to me, that's beautiful.
Well, it's a challenge.
That part too.
Because especially when we're trying to communicate with our kids and we feel like they're shutting us out, the instinct is to like bulldoze through the door. Yeah. Tell me more. Tell me what happened at school. What do you mean? What do you mean it was fine? Like, tell me about lunch. Tell me about musical rehearsal. Tell me about that boy that you're flirting with. Tell me whatever, right? And instead, like, my approach has been kind of flipped on its head by just going, cool, well, if you want to talk, I'll be upstairs. You know where to find me if you need me.
First of all, step parent or not, like, I think that's great advice, parenting, period, because it gives the child an opportunity to like regulate themselves, which is so important, which is why sometimes we have these older people not able to self-regulate. And then you look to other people for like, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? You're not giving me what I need. Yeah. When really you need to learn that for yourself. Yeah. And that's one of the great things. I love that, Heidi. Like, tell me more.
Yeah. Well, and I think like the concept is referred to in some parenting literature as being a lighthouse parent, where it's just like, oh, you know where to find me if you need me. Oh, if you need anything, I'll be upstairs. Oh, when you're ready to talk about it, come find me. You know where I'm at, right? Yeah. I just stay in the one spot. I make myself available. I let them know I'm available, and then they come to me when they're ready. And part of this actually really comes from something that we started this conversation with, which is that like your kid, this step kid didn't choose you. They're coming along with their mom or dad, right? So it's going to take some time to build that trust, that resilience, that even likability, right? It takes time to get to know each other. I think I remember in early days of step parenting thinking like, oh, and like I've got this little family now and like, whatever. But it's like, but we were strangers, she and I. Right. Her dad and I weren't, because we'd been dating for years, before we really like blended our family. And she and I had met, we'd gone to dinner, we'd done stuff together, little things, but we hadn't like lived together.
It's a big difference.
Like little roommates,
And now you have a little broke bestie running around the house, right?
Exactly. And it's hard not to take that stuff personally, right? When they're just also adjusting to their family, this new life that they've been thrown into, and they're adjusting to something that I think another kind of talking point that's so important is to remember, like, a lot of these kids are going back and forth between households, 1 week on, 1 week off, 3 days on, 3 days off. It is chaos.
That's a lot. And I don't think we realize that as grown-ups, because we're settled in our space and we make all the decisions. Yep. And these young people, these kids, are just kind of like having to go with the flow that the adults have created.
100%. Like, think about if you are an adult person who dated in adulthood, and you dated somebody and you lived in different places. Think about that experience, right? It's like you end up my own experience was that I ended up basically living out of my car, right? My hair straightener was in my car, 2 pairs of shoes were in my car, always had an extra outfit in my car. Right. I bought a second set of all my makeup stuff to keep it their place so that when I spent the night there, I had all my, whatever. Right. And it's like, our littles that are doing this two household thing, they don't have any of that agency. They don't have their own little bank account to go buy a second stuffed animal that they can just swoop up if they forgot it at the other house, right? They're really at the whim of like a lot of moving pieces. Yeah. And so a big part for me was cultivating a lot of compassion around like, yeah, of course, let's just drive back to your mom's and get this thing that you forgot there. No big deal, right? Because I remembered even from my own experience as a 30-something, dating somebody who I didn't live with, it was chaos all the time.
I'm listening to you and I think this is fantastic. And I'm just wondering, as a step parent, where does the priority go then? So like in the relationship to your partner or to their child? Because, for example, when you say, like, it sounds to me like you're really putting a lot of emphasis and care and concern and priority around how the child feels. What about you and what about your partner? Well, and how does the discipline and the parenting go when you're not a biological, but you're with, the guy you're with, that's his actual
There's two things.
biological dog.
There's really two things here that I think are important. The first is that personally, I kind of adopted the mindset of like, I have been like drafted as a part of this kid's village, right? A lot of us remember in the 90s, Hillary Clinton was talking about it takes a village. It takes a village, takes a village. Like, you're part of the village. Congratulations. You put yourself in a position to become a part of the village, and here you are. And so being part of the village is about being of service to this kid, right? And so we started in my own family, in my own blended family, all the adults started talking about being on her team. Oh, we're team, I'm not going to say her, I won't put her on blast here, right? You know, we're team whatever, Nicole, we're team Nicole, right? Okay. And so it's like, I'm going to be of maximum service to team Nicole. And what that means is that sometimes like, yeah, this little is going to come first before some other stuff. So, you know, I think there's a piece as a step parent, I think, where it's like, I don't know if this is controversial or polarizing, but I'm going to put it out there. You know, I started to realize as we were getting closer to blending our family, as we were getting closer to becoming like a family organization, that like my husband was always going to need to put his kid first. Yeah. Right? Like, I'm not always going to be, you know, there's this thing of like, oh, my man puts me first or whatever. And it's like, he had a kid and I started to think like, oh, I'm never going to come first. Mm-hmm. She's always going to come first. And then I was like, but that's the kind of person I want to be with. I do want to be with a person who puts their kid first. I'd feel weird being with a person that didn't put their kid first.
Right.
You know,
right.
So that was a strange journey through ego and pride. And it may not be for everyone. I don't know. But I just started to go, my job is I'm signing up to be of maximum service in this village to this kid. And it's going to be a one-way street, probably for a long time. Right? Like, because our kids, it's not supposed to be a two-way, it's not supposed to be like an even exchange. It's not supposed to be transactional, right? Like,
or as the kids do.
Yes.
That's it right there. It's not. And so we could clearly talk forever, but I want to get to this point about interacting with the bio parents. Like, I don't know, are you in a situation where the bio mom is around?
Yes. So my kid's biological dad is who I'm married to, and her biological mom is around and has a partner that they've been together for 8 years, and everybody lives here in Portland. Oh. And, you know, it's interesting because I've been on this journey for 10 years of step parenting. And at the time that I kind of came on board, bio mom and bio dad didn't have like a great relationship. Mm-hmm. And they both did so much work on their own to figure out what their boundaries would be. All of us with kind of the goal in mind of like, could we sit together at high school graduation and be cool? Right? Could we do it? Mm-hmm. And we did it last weekend. We had so much fun. We spent so much time togetger. And
how long did that take to get there?
10 years.
10 years.
10 years of like talking about boundaries, setting boundaries, busting boundaries by accident, apologizing.
So everybody got together and decided that you all were going to talk and have conversation about how this is going to go.
We did it, but not a lot. I mean, we didn't meet like an extraordinary amount of times. There was one time early on in the whole, in the journey where I sat down with my stepdaughter's mom and just was like, I'm going to be like, this is uncomfortable and weird, but like, I'm part of the picture now. And like, do you want to get to know me? Is there anything you want to know about who I am? Or like, you want to ask me? Cause like, for half of the time, like I'm feeding your kid breakfast and taking her to school or whatever, right?
Right.
And she was, so it gave us an opportunity to kind of get to know each other a little bit and to like make sure we're on the same page. And then, the two biological parents in our family have very clear rules about how they communicate. And for a long time, that was only over email. So everything was done over email. So everybody had record of what was going on. Okay. And then it evolved to text. And I think that's the other thing to remember is like, sometimes these custody schedules in the beginning seem so crazy. When my little was 8, she was doing like 3 days at her mom's and then 3 days here and then 4 days there. And it was like short little stints because at the time when you're 8, you don't want to go 3 days. It's hard to go more than 3 days without your actual mom or without your actual dad, right? But then like as she got older, it's like, oh, we did a week on, a week off. And it was like it grew and evolved, and like all of us kind of grew and evolved, and we're not all like best friends, but we don't have to be.
Okay.
Right? We just have to be on the same page about what we're doing with this kid. And some of that comes from, as a step parent, really stepping back and going, especially when all the bio parents are in the picture, going like, it's not my job to discipline.
Okay.
Right? Like I need to,
Let's get into that because that's a really good piece of this puzzle.
Yes.
The discipline piece.
Yeah.
So you're saying like, no, I can I can impart wisdom and guidance and be there, but when it comes to discipline, you're like, nah.
That's not for me. Now, this could be a personal choice, but I'll tell you, basically for me, if there's something that I think that my stepdaughter needs to have addressed, like I will tell her dad, like, hey, here's what happened, and I really need you to talk to her about this. And by and far, he's been like, great, thanks for letting me know. I would love to take care of this for her, with her, right? Because when I get in the middle of that, if I start like getting like in this space, it's like I'm robbing him of the opportunity to parent. And I'm robbing her mom of the opportunity to parent. And they're parents. They need to be parenting. As a step parent, yeah, I have some responsibilities. It's important for me to also like do some parenting. But in large part, like there are some things that parents need to do as parents. And I personally have decided that like I think discipline is one of those things. And there are some other things like outside of discipline that I wanted to like really fix in the last season for my kid. Like I really wanted to like, oh, make this better, make them, and I was like, no, I got to let them take care of this because they're here. And they're present, and it's their job to be parents.
Right. Ooh, okay, I know we're going to be running out of time soon, but I want to talk about potential manipulation, like on the side of the kid, because now, you know,
there's a lot of human nature.
It's a human nature, right? To kind of go like, well, can I get away with this over here? And, well, you know, step parent Heidi over here, and, you know, or, you know, she's just going to tattle and tell my dad, so I can't tell her anything, but you want her to be able to, like, what's that dynamic like?
Yeah, I think you really nailed it. That whether your kid is from a blended family or a more traditional family, they're always gonna be trying to get something over on you.
One on against.
You know, I think having some real honesty with yourself, like, yeah, if your kid's a teenager, they're probably trying to get one over. So, okay, you know, I mean, I think a lot of my own personal philosophy on it has really just been about loosening the grip. Like, yeah, of course she's gonna try to like get something because that's what it's like to be 15. You're always trying to get something when you're 15. So I just
even earlier these days, these young people are learning how to do this a lot sooner. But yes, go ahead. It's like every time I turn around, it's like, wait, what? Wait, hold on. Because I mean, full disclosure, people know I am divorced. And so I don't necessarily, neither one of us at this point have any sort of step parent involved. But it has been very challenging. Yes. And you're hitting on some very key points about like the kids not having a choice about certain things, having to just kind of acquiesce to the grown-ups' decisions. But I love that you as a step parent are giving a different perspective that's new to me. Yeah. And I'm hoping that I can be as fantastic as you if I'm ever in the situation where I'm actually either a step parent or having, you know, somebody in my life who is actually going to be the step parent to my girls. Yeah. It's just crazy. Like I'm thinking about it, like this is so much just to be in love with someone and they have kids.
Yeah. And I think you really hit the nail on the head here, which is that like, it's like when your kids are trying to play you off each other or whatever, you got to remember, first of all, that's normal. That'd be happening whether you have a blended family or not. That's a real normal thing. And secondly, like it's about building trust with them and about building trust with your co-parents. There's a lot of communication of like, hey, like, by the way, this is going on over here. Is that going on at your household? Okay. Like, can we get on the same page? Right. And then just maybe not, and then just trying to loosen the grip. Like, it's just not personal, right? It's just the kids trying to navigate, getting what they want, and testing the boundaries about how they can do that. And like, and you know, it's like, I think at the end of the day, for me, it's like, I always trusted that we were doing a good job raising a good kid. And it's like, if they're going to go through seasons where they try to get stuff, whatever.
That's what they do. It's what they do.
100%.
Okay, well, in our last little moments, any other nuggets you want to impart on? Yes, refer to the notes because you have come well prepared. To impart on our viewers and listeners about step parenting.
No, I think if there's I got all my notes, so that's good. But I think, you know, if I would leave you with anything, it would just be like, we loosen the grip, we trust the process, we show up with love. You know, I have a friend that has passed, but she used to always say, anytime we're in like a sticky situation or I'd be calling her about something, she would just say, well, what would love bring to this? What would love bring to this situation, right? And if my job as a step parent is to be sane, stable, you know, provide a stable environment.
Not sane is first. I guess that is very important. But yes, stable environment.
Yeah, then like a stable and loving environment, then when I'm amped up about something, can I just pause and go, what would love do? Would love just let this go? Would love just give my kid a hug? Would love just say, hey, you know where to find me if you want to talk? Would love say, hey, let's go get some Dairy Queen. Like, whatever. You know, sometimes we just take it so seriously because it feels like the stakes are so high.
Yes.
And we get to just dial it back a little bit.
But I like that. That's a great way to end. What would love do?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How would love behave? Well, I love you, girl.
I love you.
Always. And it's such a pleasure to have you on the show. You know you are welcome to come back anytime.
Oh, don't threaten me with a good time.
Any little thoughts that come to your mind about something like, ooh, I want to talk to Trey's listeners and viewers about this, please do come back because you are just such a joy and you exude love. And I can see why the relationship has continued to work out for you as it has. So thank you very much.
Oh, thanks, Trey.
Yes. All right, family, that's our show for today. Thank you so much for hanging with us. I love and appreciate you for it. God willing, we'll be back next week for more. In the meantime, make sure you take excellent care of yourselves. That's the only way you'll be able to take care of anyone else, which is our mission. When you think me, think we. When you think you, think too. See ya. Special thanks to our presenting sponsor, Oregon Health Authority, helping people and communities achieve optimum physical, mental, and social well-being. And thanks to our supporting partners, Louisa, a community-centered event space in the heart of Northeast Portland, and Adorn Boutique for my fabulous wardrobe. Situations and Conversations is a Trey Renee production in conjunction with Thomas Chung Films. Watch Situations and Conversations with Trey Renee, Sundays at noon on Portland CW and streaming on the Coin Plus app.